what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football, and welcome to your Sunday night live stream. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers, pleased to be joined by the young prodigy, lifetime Longhorn CJ Vogel, and the estimable Jerry Hamilton. Oh, it is game week, ladies and gentlemen, so you know we're talking a lot about Texas versus Clemson, the first college football playoff game in the history of DKR Stadium. So we'll get into it and talk about it. Thank you guys for joining us no matter where you are. So we'll start to break down that matchup. Of course, we've talked a ton of transfer portal. We'll get back to it. What's up, CD? We'll get back to some of the other transfer portal discussion if you guys want to get to that as well. We'll also dive into some of the other college football playoff matchups happening this weekend. We'll dive into breaking down some of the lines from the college football playoff matchups this weekend. And, of course, whatever you guys want to discuss. You guys drive the show. You're the most important part of the show. So wherever you guys want to go with it, Super Chats jump to the front of the line. You can interrupt the show at any time, or you can just throw out your questions or comments, and I promise we'll try to get to them as fast as we can throughout the show. All right, let's not waste any time. Let's talk to the guys first. Guys, hope you had a great weekend. Game week. How you feeling game week? All right, we feeling good about this? Feeling more confident game week? How you, Jerry? How you feeling?
I'm feeling better than Arkansas Pine Bluff in basketball. I'll tell you that. I'm feeling better than that. By the way, somebody asked about Trey Johnson, minor hit deal. They held him out because Arkansas Pine Bluff may be the worst D1 team going, as you saw with the score. No, I feel good, man. Look, it's I think the biggest thing this week, throughout the week, CJ and Rod will be is where's Kelvin Banks really at? Where's Isaiah Bond really at? And that's going to decide. That's going to be decided early in the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, where those guys are actually at headed in this game. But I feel good about Texas odds in this game. I mean, I think they're favored for a reason. Was it 10.5? And I see a lot of matchups where I think Texas gets the better of Clemson. Again, it comes down to execution, and it would be great, Rod, CJ, if Texas played a clean game offensively for the first time in a few weeks.
Yeah.
If they do, Clemson's up against it.
I like that. CJ, game week. I know you already started doing some rabbit hole, and we'll get into previewing a little bit later on, but just how you feeling? What's your gut feel right now on a Sunday?
Yeah, it's good. It's kind of awkward to have that little week off in the middle of December. You're trying to get back into the flow of high-intensity football, so it was kind of nice to sit back and, I don't know, I was kind of having a relaxing weekend. It was kind of nice. Of course, chasing down some portal news. We'll get to that a little bit later. But no, this is, kind of what we've been waiting for this entire year, right? Get to the playoff and let's see what happens. Texas got in. They have a home game. To Jerry's point, they should be the favorite in this game, and it's all about execution, taking care of business. So we'll see what happens 6 days from now.
All right. Before we get to your comments, we got some super chats already out there. We're also going to go through all the lines for the college football playoff games and do a little of our mini preview and give you guys our thoughts about the playoff games. Of course, we're going to talk a lot about Texas versus Clemson. But our live stream, this particular Sunday live stream, is brought to you by our good friends over at rogueshop.com. So I want to thank them. Rogue Shop, bringing real plant medicine back to its root. That's rogueshop.com. You can go check out their website. Make sure you use the promo code on Texas, all right, and that way you'll get a very special discount from our very special friends over at Rogue Shop. Rogue Shop has it all, from oils and creams to flour, gummies, and vitamins. Again, that's rogueshop.com. They ship nationwide. Use the code on Texas right there, and then you can get that very special discount, bringing real plant medicine back to its roots. They have oils and creams and flour, gummies, vitamins. They got it all, folks. Go check it out for yourself. You'll be impressed. That's rogueshop.com, and use the discount code on Texas. Speaking of our fabulous sponsor, just want to remind everybody, we're going to be doing a lot of coverage, our college football playoff coverage. So all the live streams this week actually will be sponsored by Duck Camp. They are the official sponsor of our college football playoff live coverage that we're doing as well. So thank you to our friends over at Duck Camp, duckcamp.com. We'll give you a very special message about them coming up a little bit later on in the show. We want to thank them. They are the official sponsor of our college football playoff coverage and all of our live streams this weekend. So we really appreciate our friends over at duckcamp.com. All right. Let's jump into some of the we'll get a couple of super chats, and then we'll talk about the lines for the college football playoff matchups. But as we know, super chats, you guys get the priority, so we appreciate all of your kindness and appreciate you guys being so gracious. Dax up first. Dax, appreciate the super chat here. Who is the greatest walk-on in Texas football history? And where is Mookie on this list? Thank you, Dax. I love having this conversation. Let's throw out all the
Yes, Rod. Who do we throw out on this?
Yeah, don't do Ricky Williams and the guys who had like baseball money that walked on. Technically, we won't do that. All right, these are actual. I'm talking about real, legit walk-ons. Can you give me a better story and a better walk-on achievement than what I don't know Michael Taft is expected to do, which is potentially be drafted this year? Which is, I don't know if we've had a walk-on take his path like that and end up being drafted. Starter, yes, but not drafted.
I don't know.
It's not special teams either. Don't give me the kickers. I know it's a kicker somewhere. I get it. I'm not specialist either. I know that's a thing too. This is, you guys know, this is not that type of route. This is not that Ricky Williams or the specialist route. This is the guy doing it the hardest possible way you could do it, earning a spot as a starter and then earning potentially a spot as a draftable prospect. I can't remember anything like it.
I don't either. I mean, I think he's eclipsed it. And I'm sure there was somebody before our time. Right?
I'm sure it is. Yep.
Okay, but that's where it's going to have to be, because what am I, 24 years in now? Not anybody for me. So I think Michael Taft, it's really cool too. I mean, all the storylines of this game obviously picked off Quinn twice in the state championship game that year that Westlake beat Southlake. By the way, Westlake played North Crowley for the 6A D1 state title on Friday, day before Clemson, Texas. Westlake, you have your hands full with North Crowley. I'm just going to tell you that right now, but that's football. Anything can happen. But I think Michael Taft is the guy. I mean, look what he's done. He turned down Rice offers. He had offers, CJ, to go play Division I football. So he's not the normal walk-on, and that, he turned down a Rice offer, and I think the Tulsa, a couple more like that. But as far as being a preferred walk-on, I don't think anybody can compete with his resume.
I think that's the best part of the story is, he bet on himself, right? He passed up opportunities to go play elsewhere already to begin his career on scholarship, and he said, you know what, I want to stick in Austin. I want to go be a Longhorn. I'm going to play for the University of Texas. And turned out, it was a heck of a decision for him because he earns a scholarship. And Rob, we've talked about it all last week with the PFF grades and some of those statistics that rack up against all the SEC, caliber safeties that were on the all SEC teams last week. Look, his numbers match up with just about anybody. Now we're talking about the NFL draft. What's next for him? Crazy. And what could be a really impressive stamp in closing on what's been an incredible story for Michael Taft. So I've loved it to follow it. And, it's the ultimate bet on yourself story.
Bobby Matronic was joking. Marty Cherry was not a walk-on. I think he was a scholarship player.
I was saying, I don't want to start insulting people because some people consider insulting. No, he was a walk-on. I was like, no, he's not. Listen, but actually, this is when, God bless, we need the late, great Bill Little. Because then we could just ask Bill Little, and Bill Little would settle this argument once and for all. But we don't have that luxury anymore. God bless him. But yeah, I don't know. We got to go ask some old school Longhorn guys, man, old school, and try to find out if they remember. I don't know. Do they keep records of that? The guy was a walk-on night back in the day. I don't even know. How legit, how the record keeping. I don't know if you would have that. So I think it is. And this is my question. So if he should come back, in my opinion, but I understand why he wants to leave, because if you want to go to the NFL, and that's every college football player's dream, now is the time, young man. You got to cash a lottery ticket, right? Your stock won't ever be higher. You got to go when your stock is high. So I get it. Go when your stock is high. Does he get invited to the combine if he decides to go? Because that's what you got to. Now, you ain't got to showcase there. You can showcase at the pro day, but that would mean the NFL they taking you seriously.
Right.
Jerry, that. They don't consider walk-ons in that really. So he won't get an invite there, right? Even though he's one of the best players, they won't do that.
That's a tough one. I mean,
that's how deep the class the DBs is too, right?
Right. I mean, just think about it. Great year, didn't make first or second or third team all SEC, and he didn't get robbed. There's all those guys are combine players. I mean, there's really good safeties in this league. I mean, kid out of South Carolina may be a first rounder. I mean, there's so many good, and that's like last year, Rod. What were there? 60% of the DBs were from the SEC at the NFL Combine. Yeah, Could that get him in because he's in the SEC?
He didn't get the love though, like you said. He didn't get love on the all SEC team. I'm gonna say they're probably good. Listen, he's used to being disrespected, guys. This is part of this is part of the secret sauce that makes Hold up. Can you tell me, Dax, why they call him Mookie? Can anybody give me the background on the Mookie nickname? I would like to know that, by the way. I don't know what the Mookie.
I don't know that one either.
Yeah, I would like to know the Mookie thing too, because I want to respect the nickname. If that's the case. But that's part of what makes him. That's part of what makes him unique and special is because he's always been disrespected, and whether it be the walk-on thing and then having to prove himself. So maybe this kind of, and then the all SEC team this year, no love at all there. So maybe this is part of it. Did he get any love for the walk-on? There's a national award for walk-ons too.
We thought he'd win it, but he didn't. I don't think he won it, right, CJ?
No.
I don't know if he was a finalist.
I don't even know if he was a
I'll have to go back and look.
I don't know if he was a finalist for it.
Which is crazy.
Getting back to my point, hey, let's continue to disrespect him because what I mean, that's the secret sauce. That's what makes him great. I think he'll continue to use that as a chip on his shoulder. Nothing but Michael Tapp fans around here.
Hey, somebody asked about Deontay Foreman. No, scholarship player. And then people, I think in the chat, we're talking about his ranking. The reason he was ranked, Deontay Foreman was ranked really low because I covered that one. Texas City was telling people they didn't think he'd qualify out of high school. That was part of his recruiting ranking and why a lot of people did not offer him. They didn't think he was going to qualify.
Who was more highly ranked out of high school, him or Armonte?
Armonte.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was a 4-star prospect, probably 250-ish in the country.
Yeah.
And Deontay Foreman was either a 2-star back then or a 3-star, depending on where you looked. But it was because people the word out was he would have a tough time qualifying.
Yeah.
People didn't rank those guys high back in the day.
Hey, talk about proving people wrong. There you go. All right, get on to the super chats here. Juan says, thank you for the super chat, by the way, Juan. Thank you. Can you all confirm a secret visitor that it's campus or you can't? That's on campus, I'm assuming you're saying, or you can't.
Look, as far as I'm aware, I don't believe a secret visitor made it to campus, as far as I'm aware. Now, Texas is good when it comes to having these secret visitors, and that could be the case again this weekend. But right now, the guys that are on campus that I was aware of were the 4 that we reported this past week.
Hold up, what's the purpose of the down low visitor? Just because they don't want people to know, are they committed already to something? What? Let me know. I'm a little ignorant to this.
Well, I'm sure. Go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, no, I think it's that. I think it's wanting to keep somebody. So if it's a high school kid, maybe committed elsewhere, you don't want that to get out. That's kind of one of the things is, hey, we can get you on campus. The media doesn't have to find out. And then it creates a big S storm on Twitter and Instagram or whatnot. From the high school perspective, that's it. And, sometimes if you can, and colleges do this in general, a lot of them, not just Texas, get you in without the school you're committed to knowing, so you don't have to deal with all that. Just come give us a chance. Don't create a big media S storm around it. With the portal, it would be with the portal, you want to get a kid on campus nobody knows about, and because those guys can sign and it's over.
Yep. Yeah. It wasn't a thing back in my day. I mean, but there wasn't you didn't have social media, so you didn't have any of that. So I think the whole point is that to keep it from being public knowledge, and you just you do want to check out the school, but maybe you got some other, commitment, something like that. All right. Thank you for the super chat there. Rapid Calm says, shout out North Crowley representing Fort Worth in a state title game for the first time in 76 years. Thoughts on their chances against Westlake? Thank you, Rapid Calm. 76 years. That's a hell of a drought right there. I like
Ray Gates has done an unbelievable. Our special guest is here. We'll get to in a second, but Ray Gates has done an unbelievable job at North Crowley. The biggest thing when you take the North Crowley job is to keep the kids in middle school from going to Aledo. Jonathan Gray, some of those guys were zoned to North Crowley high school and did not go there, but he's done an amazing job. John Turntine, 5-star offensive tackle, left tackle is special. I think, Rod, you watched his film after I mentioned that. He is elite. Tons of Division I guys. The receiver, Quentin Gibson's going to Colorado. The quarterback's going to be a heck of a receiver. Jonathan Cunningham, the linebacker, signed with Texas, a heck of a player. They earned that one. Duncanville that's a hard team to knock off now. I mean, and that they earned it. And Westlake, Westlake, Tony Salazar is one of the best defensive coordinators in the state of Texas, has been for years under Todd Dodge. Yeah. Does a great job defensively at Westlake. And I'd say Westlake has their hands full. North Crowley's just immensely talented. I think there were sophomore through seniors, there was 55, 60 Division I kids on that field. Now, some of those kids didn't play because they were young, but Rod, that game was unbelievably loaded with talent. And North Crowley's one of those great jobs in Texas was because when people move into Fort Worth now, they're not moving into Fort Worth. A lot of times they're moving south. And North Crowley, they have new facilities there, new stadium, new indoor facilities. They got Ray Gates has it rolling. They've always had kids there, but it's been keeping the kids there, and he's doing a great job of it.
All right, good stuff there, Jerry. Appreciate it. All right, do we have a special guest joining us right now? Oh, a legendary lifetime Longhorn joining us right now. We appreciate his time. He's also a Grey Cup champion 2 times, I believe. Throw that out there as well. Yeah, twice. Yeah. Dose of them babies. It's legendary lifetime Longhorn Jackson Jeffcoat. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Hey, Rod, Jerry, CJ. Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on with you guys.
I ran into Jackson, I guess it was before the Georgia game, right, Jackson? And yeah, that brought back so many memories. I was at Jackson's press conference when he committed to Texas. I got to get the recruiting question out of the way for Jackson because I've never asked him this. I always thought you'd stay close to home back in the day, but how close was University of Florida with you?
Florida? They were far off.
They were far off.
Yeah. Very far off.
You came down to Texas OU then?
Texas, OU. My dad was at UH. I like them a lot. Actually, UH was closer than I might have probably led on just because I wanted to play for my dad. I thought that he would make another move to another school, and I would be stuck at that school. So he always told me, pick a school based on where you want to go and where you could be without the coaches and without him.
Yeah.
Well, I'll get right to it, Jackson. I mean, you followed this team this year. What's been the biggest surprise as Texas, embarks on, another playoff hunt this upcoming weekend? Anything that you've watched maybe on the defensive side of the ball that you say, okay, I didn't know they had this in the bag this year?
Yeah, I'm very impressed with Colin Simmons coming in as a freshman and doing what he's done. I mean, he gets off the ball really well. I mean, he's got a good jump. He's been making plays in the run. And just the defense in general. Defense is playing really well. It's been fun to watch. People will talk to me about the games, and they're like, man, that was a boring game because the score wasn't super high. But I'm like, that was a defensive game. I love that. That's my type of game.
That was up. Hey, Jackson, man, you were one of the great pass rushers in Texas football history. Just a naturally elite pass rusher. My thought is that's it's kind of naturally ingrained. I think some guys, they're just kind of born with elite pass rush, but I don't know if you can teach that. What is your thought? Can you teach someone to become a great pass rusher, or is this something that most guys they just got it? They got the bend, they got the BGO, that kind of stuff. What is it?
Being a great pass rusher is something that you can teach. There are some intangibles that like mobility, flexibility, or just things like you're born with that can make you better than others now, but you can build that. You can build your bend. You can get better at bending. You can get better at your hands. It's all about training, how you train. And I think was my benefit that I was around my dad. So I was getting trained to be a pass rusher. Now, was I always the most athletic? No. But did I work hard? Yes. I made sure I did, because people would always look at me and be like, he's getting everything because his dad played in the NFL. That's the only reason why he's here.
So that played a role. That psychology played a role in your motivation, that people thought you were a Nepo baby, and that's why you were getting the love.
Exactly. I wanted to make sure that I prove every day that I'm just here to beat you. It doesn't matter who my dad is. It doesn't matter who my family is. It doesn't matter anything. I'm going to be better than you.
Hey, Jackson, I want to follow up on the question on Colin Simmons. For those in the chat, 1,500 plus people, Jackson, 86 tackles, 20 tackles for loss, 13 sacks senior year. How good can Colin Simmons be, man, in your opinion, what you've seen from him? Because it's year one. So I always think about what's this guy going to be like in year two, because that's normally the biggest jump the college guys make is year one to year two.
Yeah, I think he can be special as long as he gets past this year two slump, because a lot of guys will have that second year and they won't be as good. They'll struggle because they start learning more about football or about the defense, and sometimes it can slow you down. Whereas, like, he's just playing ball. I remember when I was a freshman, I was just playing ball. I just was going. And so if he doesn't go through the sophomore slump, he'll be special. He'll be better than me. That's for sure. I think he's good. I think he's talented. I think if he stays humble and continues to work and learns his craft and gets better, he'll be special. There's no reason this guy shouldn't be a guy that we're talking about winning national awards.
Going back to your playing days, I mean, again, I want to show off some love. 2019, I believe 2021, Grey Cup champion. Big moments there, obviously, getting to hoist that trophy. But going to the Canadian League, were there any rules, any tidbits about that game that maybe stood out to you? You're like, wait a minute, this is part of the everyday game in Canada there.
Yeah. So as a D lineman, lining up a yard off the ball was definitely a challenge for me at first. Your timing's off. You're a half a second behind on your rush. I remember my first rush, I threw a move. I wasn't even close to the guy yet because I'm just expecting him to be there. Like, I had to keep working my hands. Thankfully, I worked on active hands, but it was funny. It just felt weird. So we have to line defenses to line a yard off the ball. There's 12 players, so it's not an extra receiver, an extra DB. The field is wider, longer. You got the 55-yard line in the middle of the field, and the end zones are 20 yards long. The goalposts are in front of the end zone. And, there's a lot of differences here. You got the rouge. You can if you kick a field goal and you miss it, they can return it. We can catch it, return it for a touchdown. And that's what people sit back in the end zone waiting for somebody to miss. If you kick during I think it's a kickoff. Oh, yeah, it's a kickoff. If you kick it out of the end zone, it's a point. You get a point.
Walk-off kickoffs. It's rare. It happened this year.
Yeah. That's wild. No, let me ask you this, Justin, because I played in Canada too. I played in Hamilton for a while, and you played in the league. All right, you were consensus All-American. I mean, you reached the highest levels of college. Played in the league for a few years. Obviously, was an All-Star in Canada. Are you done? You played?
I'm done.
You done?
I mean, I retired back in February. I've been working up in working for this company, Ceres Builders. We were formerly MW Builders. We're general contractors. We do the construction of light industrial, multifamily, and we have a federal section as well. But I've been working in the construction world right now as an estimator. It's been pretty fun. I don't see a need to go back and play anymore.
You're beloved in Canada. I'm sorry, real quick. Do you have dual citizenship? Are you just because you were there for a long time, man?
I was there for a long time. No, people kept telling me that they'll give me my Canadian card, but I never applied for dual citizenship.
Okay.
I wish I would have taken advantage of that. It's just cool. I like being out there. Other than the taxes.
Ooh,
they hit me over the head with taxes.
Hey, I gotta ask, who's your favorite hockey team? Did you get in the hockey?
Dallas Stars.
Yeah.
Hey.
Okay. I wouldn't even think about playing a West guy. Yeah.
Dallas Stars. That's my team. I mean, every time Dallas would come out to Winnipeg, I'm representing Dallas stuff. Winnipeggers hated me for it, but I'm a Dallas kid.
There we go. Going back to Texas, we obviously got to see Texas go into Dallas, win the Golden Hat back. I believe, maybe once, was it twice for you as well? Up in just once. Just in your opinion, or your eyes, your as you went through that series, how sweet was that moment? Because I don't want Texas fans to take it for granted with OU kind of slumping right now. It's not one of those games where you ever feel light whenever you take that Golden Hat back down to Austin.
No, that game is special, and it might have been even more special for me, and that's why it was so hard to only win one, because I'm going back to Dallas. I'm going back to my city where my people are going to be there at the games watching. You're playing against other guys on the Oklahoma team that are from Dallas, and they want that win just as bad. It's a bitter rivalry. You want to be the king of the city. You want to be like, hey, we won the Red River shootout rivalry, whatever we're calling it now. But we won it. We're the big dogs. Like, we got the golden hat. We own this. And so that meant a lot to me. The game meant probably more than other people. And so winning it my senior year was special. It was the way to go out. Because I know a lot of people were talking crap when I got to the NFL, talking like, how many did y'all win? I was like, we won one, but I won when it counted, the senior year.
Damn right.
And
Hey, I got to ask you, are you still Action Jackson to the boys? Your nickname, Action Jackson.
I mean, I got a ton of nicknames since I've been playing pro ball. So Action Jackson was probably – it wasn't one from my boys. That was actually one from my parents.
You know, hey, Rod, the great thing when we've never read your bio, Rod, but the TexasSports.com, they don't do it with guys anymore, but they had like the favorites thing.
Yeah.
And I was looking at Jackson Jeffcoat. It says, Jackson, do you remember the show that you can't believe you watch back then?
No. Oh, no.
Let me think. Let me think.
I watched it. I'll admit it after he does, so he's not the only one.
Oh, what is it? I can't believe it.
90210.
Oh,
90210. Wow. Yes. I still can't believe I watched that.
Me either. I can't believe I did either.
Oh, that's legit though, now, man.
I'm gonna look in the file while y'all ask another question. This is fun.
That's wild. No, that's old school right there, man. That's old school. No, let me ask you this, Jackson. Since we got you got time playing the league. Who's the most freaking? You said you weren't a great athlete, which obviously you are, but I understand what you're saying because you played with so many freakish athletes in your time of football. I'm with you. It's like, no, I'm a regular human and I made it, for other reasons. Who was the most freakish athlete you were around, teammate or played up against when you played ball in the league, even at Texas, whatever, in your time playing ball?
I think I can tell you from each point of playing.
Oh, that's good.
One of the freakiest athletes that I played with in Canada was probably the guy I played it on the other side with, Willie Jefferson. He's from Beaumont, Texas.
Yep.
He is a freak. I mean, he was originally a wide receiver.
Yep.
They moved him to tight end at Baylor. He goes to SFA, plays tight end, and then they move him to like a D. He plays DN. I think he got drafted late by the Texans.
Wow.
He goes there, doesn't work out there, goes to Canada, and just he's 6'6", 6'7", rangy, but moves like a receiver.
Dude could hoop, man. I watched him in high school because he was at Beaumont Ozan when they were winning state in basketball back then. That dude could run and jump and hoop, super fast twitch.
Crazy.
Yeah. He was a fun teammate to play with. That's my guy.
Okay, I like that. See, yeah, no, I'm saying I when you said you weren't a great athlete, I think some people were like, he's not a great athlete. He's like, no, he's just looking. It's a perspective thing,
right?
You're a world class athlete, but you're trying to think about the other freaks you played with at every level, and that's why my man Jackson said that. All right, sorry, go ahead, Jerry.
No, that was it. I mean, look, that was the a favorite actor was Denzel Washington in the file. I think there's a lot of people that check. It's funny, 90210, everybody started naming their shows like Felicity and Melrose Place. That's hilarious. But
I got a bunch of those.
Yeah. No, sure. Rod, I gotta find yours while y'all finish this.
No, don't do it. I don't want to go through that. Hey, Jackson, man, we know you're busy. Thank you so much for the time. We really, really appreciate you joining us today and being so open, man. We appreciate it. Hopefully we can bring you back on at one point.
No, I appreciate it, Rod, TJ, Jerry. I appreciate you guys.
I'm pretty sure I saw Jackson get 4 or 5 sacks in one high school game at SMU. I have a playoff game. You remember that?
Wow.
Yeah, I think you had 4 or 5 sacks in that game I was at. I can't remember, though. It may have been – I'm older, so I get the games confused.
I'm trying to think who we're playing. Oh, I went off.
Longview? Did y'all play Longview?
No, we didn't play Longview.
Longview played after y'all.
Yeah, I played real well against Cedar Hill. We played.
Yeah.
I think we played Naaman in the championship. We played Cedar Hill twice.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to remember who else we played. We played somebody else, but I can't put my finger on it.
So I'm gonna ask you this thing because I got some stats pulled up here. All right, what do you think your best game was in college? Like
My best game?
Yeah, for you personally. When you think you just was a beast, you're on beast mode. What game?
Probably Texas Tech.
Yeah. Yeah. 3 sacks, mashed. That was a monster game.
I went crazy against Texas Tech. They were fun. They liked to pass the ball. I was excited. My senior season?
Yeah. That was your senior year.
I was playing like linebacker, DN, everything. I think because Jordan Hicks had gotten hurt. And so they kind of moved me around. That's when I started playing that spinner.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know how to play linebacker like that, but I was learning. And
hold up, who was DC then? Was that
so at first it was Manny Diaz. Manny Diaz got fired, and then we brought in Greg Robinson. Rest in peace.
And yeah, you're right about that, man. Think about that. Good point. And that's what, because you won Defensive Player of the Year that year in the conference. Do you think that's what kind of led to you winning Defensive Player of the Year was how he weaponized you all over the place?
I think so. He actually was able to get me out and really move around and show that I can actually move and play in space and whatnot. Yeah. I mean, it got real hard when I went up to the NFL and they had me playing a 4-3 outside backer. Ooh. That was different. At Seattle, that was different. Now I was like, I looked like a deer in headlights. If they would have stuck with me, I learned it. But
yeah,
that's not what that business is about. They need you doing it now.
Yep. Damn right. It's not a development business. It may be yeah, you're right.
And I wasn't drafted, so they're definitely not going to develop you and give you time.
Yep. But you got shots because you're an elite natural pass rusher, brother. You always got one thing you can do just as good as anybody else in the league, and that's get after the damn quarterback. People know that.
I appreciate it. I took pride in it. I wanted to be better than my dad. I wanted to make sure that I was up there in the list of pass rushers too.
Hey, that's why you're a legendary lifetime Longhorn, brother. Thank you for the time, Jackson. We appreciate it.
And I appreciate y'all. Please have me on again. I would love to be on.
All right.
We'll have you on for sure.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you, Jackson.
Welcome.
All right. That is a legendary lifetime Longhorn, Jackson Jeffcoat. We appreciate his time. Good stuff there, Jerry. That was awesome.
Dude, the file. I got to look up your file now. Y'all talk for like.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Let's move on.
I'm finding this now.
let's move on here, people. Yes. Matter of fact, let's thank our friends up at Rogue Shop real quick. Get back on task. I don't want to see that. I don't know what I put on. I have no idea. There's probably some weird stuff on mine at all. All right. Thank you to our friends over at Rogue Shop, rogueshop.com. They're bringing real plant medicine back to its roots. Make sure you use the promo code ONTexas. You'll get a very special discount from our very special friends over at rogueshop.com. They have it all from oils and creams to flour, gummies, and vitamins. Again, that's rogueshop.com. They ship nationwide, no matter where you are in the Owen, Texas football community. They can get their fantastic products to you at rogueshop.com. Use the Owen, Texas special discount, a special code, and you'll get a very special discount. All right, let's get back to the super chats. Then we'll get to the some of the lines from the college football playoff games happening this weekend. Edgar Padilla. Edgar, thank you for – I see a question here too, Edgar. Thank you for the super chat as well. I see a question that says, at what point does Sark abandon or does he the seemingly predictable short out to the flat pass game that teams seem to have pegged? Okay, have teams pegged it or just has Georgia pegged it? We got to differentiate because I don't think every team can really stop those plays because Sark creates enough space for guys to get enough positive yards. Georgia, specifically, they're the ones who can really close down that space, suffocate that space. Edgar, I don't know if everybody has the ability, but I'll say this, Edgar. If it is the case that teams have that ability, the playoffs is where you get exposed, to your point. And so these are the elite of the elite teams. Clemson, it starts with Clemson, and it only gets tougher from there. And then if you do get the chance to play for the national title, it could be against Georgia. So to your point, maybe Texas hasn't been exposed in that manner, Jerry, because they haven't played enough elite teams, and that will certainly be the argument for those who say Texas has a weak schedule or has had a weak schedule.
Yeah, I think A&M's the one. Sorry, A&M. I was just asking about A&M versus that. Georgia's the one team that it can do that because of the linebackers. I will say this too. I think the Isaiah Bond injury, guys, has hampered that a little bit because he is when he's 4.28, Isaiah Bond, he scares people. He's dangerous in the perimeter passing game. And Jaden Blue against the Georgia, Jaden Blue's not as much of a factor in that game because of their linebackers. And so I think the second time the SEC championship game, Bond was not Isaiah Bond, and Jaden Blue's not really a part of that equation. And he was also coming off the shoulder stinger, the CJ, but not part of that equation because those Georgia linebackers, they condense space and close it really, really fast. Better than anybody else Texas will play, even in a college football playoff.
Yep. I agree with that. Texas Fight 210. Oh, sorry about this. We should have got to this earlier, Texas Fight. We apologize. Says Jackson met you with some guys at Chili's in downtown San Antonio for the Alamo Bowl one year. Hook 'em. Yeah, I actually had a few interactions with Jackson during sideline and then off the field too. That dude is fantastic. He's just a cool, fantastic representative of Texas on the field and off. So I agree with the Texas Fight. That's why I call him a legendary lifetime Longhorn. He is actually one of the best natural pass rushers. I think he said he's not. He said he trained to become a great pass rusher. He's got some of the natural traits, a lot of natural traits that make him elite pass rusher.
That's a great Chili's, by the way.
You know this Chili's?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Every year I find myself down there at that Chili's for the All-American Bowl down there in San Antonio.
Okay,
right on the Riverwalk.
CJ, aren't you glad the days of being down there for the Alamo Bowl are over? Every year,
actually.
Hey, we're gonna have to talk about the games coming up. This is the tough thing nowadays about college football playoff games. Penn State's backup quarterback's announcing he's going in the portal before playoff. Bo Perbula. He played when Drew Lohr was hurt.
Yeah.
Gone before the playoffs, unless he's staying for the playoffs. I need to read more. It just flashed across.
That's true.
It's funny the chat may have seen more than I have, but that just popped across my feed, and I was like, wow.
And that's why the coaches want to change this window, right? They would like this window to change in terms of the portal window to be they at least maybe keep the roster intact for as long as possible before guys decide to make up their mind. But then I don't know if that's fair to the players and that kind of stuff. So a tough decision. Sean here says, Rod, Jammer, Huff, or Earl Thomas, who you got? That is a good question. My DBU rankings, I'm going to wait till the season's over. I don't want to steal the headlines from the team. But I'll be releasing those right after the season's over. And, I got to put Taft Daddy, Mookie in mine, and Janae Barron. So it's going to be, I got to do a lot of research. I'm actually starting it up right now. But for that group, you got to put Huff Daddy at the top, man. He won the Thorpe. And those other guys had a chance to win the Thorpe and did not. Earl Thomas was robbed. I will say
he had the best season of any individual season of anybody ever.
Yeah, so Earl was robbed. There's no doubt about that. But I'm gonna go Huff because he got a national title in it too in the same year. Hard to disagree with that. Then Earl, and then I'll go Jammer. I love Jammer, but Jammer didn't make a lot of plays on the ball. Jammer was just kind of a shutdown corner, and during his time, Earl Thomas made plays on the football. Made more plays on the football than Huff Daddy did. So I'd go Huff, Earl, Jammer, but we're talking about all guys who are essentially all in the top 10. Huff and Earl had probably an argument to be in the top 5. I don't know if Jammer is going to get that. I don't know if he'll get that benefit with me in my DBU rankings, but Huff Daddy is on the Mount Rushmore. My last DBU rankings, and probably will be in my new DBU rankings. He's on the Mount Rushmore. Earl is right outside the Mount Rushmore. He's right. He's kind of right out. He's like 5 or 6. Earl is for me. But think about it. My DBU ranking is all about how much your impact at Texas.
Yeah,
and that's why because Earl left early, right? And so if Earl probably would stay another year, Earl probably would be on the Mount Rushmore. Who knows? So it's about your impact. That's why Janae Barron is going to be higher than people expect. Now I'm doing my rankings. He was at Texas a while. He started a long time in Texas. Had a really, and it's from the 5-1-2 in the backyard. So let's just say, it's just a lot to consider. Thank you, Sean. We appreciate the super chat. Todd said this will start up our conversation about the college football playoff game, gentlemen, and we'll get the lines going here in a second. What do you think of Klubnik? Thank you, Todd, for the super chat. What do you think of Klubnik returning to Austin? How should a PK game plan for him? Ooh, yeah, this is interesting because he's got mobility, and CJ, when I see him scramble, he's really dangerous as a scrambler because he's smart and he's judicious about in terms of his decision making when he's going to scramble. Now they have designed runs for him as well. He's got designed runs, so he's as a design runner. They use him. He's great in terms of improvisation and scramble game, and he's playing the best football of his career right now. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Yes, right now he's playing better football than Quinn Ewers. Period. How do you game plan for him? Texas usually is good against dual threat quarterbacks. Obviously, last game against Georgia, not the case in the second half.
Yeah, that probably took them more for a surprise than I think maybe they anticipated. Of course, you're game planning for Carson Beck, a guy who's not known to move around in the pocket all too much. More so, just throw the ball up and turn the ball over, which Texas was able to really limit him, put him in a cage in that pocket for the most part. But I look at Cade Klubnik very similarly to that of maybe a Marcel Reed or a Taylon Green earlier this year, right? Texas does great against mobile quarterbacks. And it helps when you have a lot of speed in that front seven, especially on the end, when you combine the speed with that football intelligence of a Barron Sorrell and a Colin Simmons and a Trey Moore. That helps a whole lot. And look, you've seen it specifically against Texas A&M. Your edge rushers aren't necessarily trying to get to the quarterback every single down, right? We just talked to Jackson Jeffcoat, right? And he's saying, I love Texas Tech because they're dropping back to pass 60 times a game. Yeah, you can go all out for 60 different reps trying to get to the quarterback. What we've seen against Texas A&M and some of these mobile quarterbacks is you'll see the edge rushers get upfield a little bit, but it's not to get past their offensive linemen. It's kind of just containment, right? It's keep that guy in the pocket at the end of the day. Maybe we do want this guy to throw the ball more than having him take off and run with the ball in his hands. And I think that's what you'll see with Klubnik as well. Klubnik's maybe a better passer than some of these other dual threat guys that Texas has seen so far this year. But at the end of the day, do you trust the secondary? I do. I would. I would rather him throw the ball than take off and hurt you with his legs.
I think what Klubnik has is the best combination of receivers and tight end Texas has faced this year. They got 3 NFL wideouts and an NFL tight end. I mean, Antonio Williams, all ACC. Bryant Wesco, really good freshman. TJ Moore, another really good freshman. They're young, and Brenningstool will play in the NFL on some level. They have really good players around him to throw the. I mean, he can area code Wesco and Antonio Williams, and they're young now. Antonio Williams, sophomore, Wesco freshman, Moore freshman, and gone. But I mean, they're young, but that's a solid 3 wide and tight end core that he has to throw it to. The whole key for me with Klubnik Saturdays, can the Clemson offensive line hold up? If they do, it's going to be a really, really good game. If they struggle and Maffa's shoulder becomes an issue because their number 2 running back's out for the year, then Maffa can't play with one shoulder. Rod, I don't know if you heard, but we had Larry Williams who covers Clemson on. He said his shoulder's so bad he's been going with one shoulder in pass pro. He's been running out of bounds at times instead of trying to get the first down. He can't play this game like that. He's got to put it all on the line. It's win or go home. So can he play through all that contact against Texas? And Texas pass rush is going to need to be the difference in this game, in my opinion, against Clemson OL.
Yeah, that would make sense because, and obviously we'll dive into it a little deeper. When you look at the pass play percentage for Clemson the last couple of weeks, at least the last 3 games, they've increased it from like 53% to damn near 59% in their pass play percentage. That would make sense as to, well, they got a hurt running back, got a messed up shoulder. So maybe that's the reason for it. But that's a good point. In terms of, I feel confident Texas can game plan for a quarterback with the dual threat ability of a Cade Klubnik. Question is, can Texas turn him over?
Yes.
Can you turn him, or can you force him into making bad decisions? Because right now, in terms of decision making, he's among the best quarterbacks in the country in decision making. in terms of turnover-worthy plays. He's making great decisions with football. Now he's going up against the best pass defense now in the country against Texas, and Texas takes the football away a lot. But what you don't know about Clemson is top 5 in the country in turnover margin.
Yeah,
they're top 10 in the country in like takeaways. They take away the football a lot. So the real question in this game is it's really about the turnover margin. If Texas plays a clean game, they win this game. That's why they're 11.5-point favorites, CJ? Something like that. They play a clean game, they win this game. If the game gets ugly and muddy, then Clemson's got a real shot because they play clean games in terms of turnover margin. They play really good games from that aspect because their defense takes the football away and their offense takes care of the football.
Yeah, two things there. Hey, that was the same kind of story when Texas played Vanderbilt coming into that trip to Nashville. I think they only had 2 turnovers the entire season. Texas created 4. So they have that kind of blueprint to go in there and say, how do we create turnovers against a team that's very protective of the football? And then 2, a bit of unfortunate luck there. Texas last 8 forced fumbles. They've not recovered a single one.
Wow.
A bit of some tough turnover luck there, if you will, the way that some of these fumbles have been bouncing for the Longhorns. One of those eventually will end up in the arms of a Texas defensive player, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, it's it. That line, the line that Texas is favored by, I mean, it's pretty big. That's just a big line. 11.5 in a college ball playoff game. It is the biggest line. Why is it, in you guys' opinion, what is the overwhelming advantage? Is it just talent? What is Vegas looking at here in the 11? Is it explosive plays? Because I will say that Clemson's defense do give up a lot of explosive plays. They're good.
Yeah. But Rod, I think I hate to be the jinx here, but I've already talked about it. Look, I think Clemson is a smoke and mirrors team in a lot of ways. People say, well, Texas didn't play a tough schedule. Clemson didn't play the top half of the ACC except one team. They didn't play Miami. They didn't play Syracuse. They didn't play Georgia Tech. They didn't even play Duke. So they had played 5 games against teams that 7-5 records or better. That was Pitt, Louisville, South Carolina, SMU, Georgia. They averaged giving up 429 yards a game in those 5. And Pitt isn't exactly great on offense. So they defensively, they've given up yards. And against SMU, they only had 326 yards, and they gave up 458. But they found a way to win the game because they got some turnovers early. But I think they're a little bit – and I'm not saying you can't win a game. It's college football. They're a little bit of a smoke and mirrors team as to the record. If you really dig down deep into them – I mean, they played Stanford 3-9, SMU 2-10, Wake Forest 4-8, Virginia 5-7. They did not have a tough ACC schedule. If they had, I don't think they'd be in the playoff right now. But that doesn't mean they can't beat you if you go turn it over twice in your own end of the field and miss a couple of field goals, miss a couple of throws in the red zone you should make. I mean, anybody can win the game. They've also struggled to run, Rod, against those 5 opponents. When people really want to take away their run, Moffitt had a big game against Louisville, but a lot of people ran on Louisville. But against SMU, he had 13 for 28, 17 for 17 against Pitt. So he only got some yards late against Georgia after the game was in hand. But again, team that had 188 yards against Georgia, and they played 2 SEC teams this year, Georgia and South Carolina. They averaged 8.5 points a game against those 2.
All right, Jerry, then since you've made such a compelling argument, and damn it, that was a great argument as to why Clemson may be a little overrated. Why did lifetime Longhorn Sam Acho pick them to win the national title? Why, Jerry? Huh? He's a smart
I don't know. I mean, that's a good one. I don't know, but CJ, any thoughts? I mean, did Dabo come with a real offer in high school to him, and Dabo was his favorite guy? I don't know, man.
Did Dabo go get some kids out of the portal for this playoff, Jerry? I mean,
he's trying.
I saw that he hosted someone from the portal for the first time this past week. So,
oh wow,
that's interesting.
That is.
I mean, if Sam makes, that's one of the greatest calls of all time. I don't like Clemson's chances to win in Austin. Then go on the road, even though it would be Arizona State, they'd be favored. Then turn around and come back to Texas to have to play Oregon in a semifinal. And then if they get there, go play a rugged physical game 4 games in a row. I don't know. But you know what I do know about Rod Duck Camp?
Boom. That's right.
Duck Camp is our sponsor of all our shows this week for this college football playoff. Thank you, the Duck Camp. This gear made for the people that live in the moments. That's what we're doing. Live in the moments out there, whether fish to catch, birds to hunt, time to kill, or more football to watch college football playoff. This read would not be good if you're an A&M or Oklahoma fan right now. They like doing all that stuff, so they built a company centered on it, based in Austin and dedicated to giving people best-in-class hunting and fishing apparel. There are those of you out there that look forward to the opening day of hunting season and the kickoff of Longhorn football every game with the fervor and excitement of a 5-year-old on Christmas morning. And Duck Camp is here to let you know that from opening day to game day, they've got you covered. At Duck Camp, they believe you can't just sit around and wait for the adventure to come to you. You have to get out there, stay out there, and make the most of every season. Here's the continued great season, y'all. Yes, hunting and football. Shop hunting gear at duckcamp.com.
Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate that. And we appreciate duckcamp.com. Guys, y'all know Acho's in this kind of business now. You got to do something that's salacious to make headlines. That's the business he's in. All right. So for y'all to disappoint him, he's still family. But when that business, hey, you got to do what you got to do. You know what I mean? Y'all know the blueprint. Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless, y'all know the blueprint. He's in that business now. All right. Let's get back to how about, you know what? We'll get back to the lines of the college football playoff games. So I want to hit those before we're done. But there are a couple of super chats we got to hit here, guys, just real quick. This one comes from Sat. Thank you, Sat, for the super chat. Sorry it took so long to get to it. Should we believe the rumors that Quinn could transfer for another year to improve draft stock? CJ, I'm going to throw this one.
I'm glad he had another hat there. I wondered what the next move was.
I'm very glad I have another hat, too.
Hey, wait. So, wait, I'm putting you on. Is Arch transferring too? Do you have a third hat? Do you have a third hat?
Well done. Well done. Well done, brother. That is a great response. I saw you on Twitter go off about this, CJ. So I knew you were the right one to throw it to.
Yeah,
that's impressive. You had 3 hats on the table. I like that.
I got an extra one, but I don't want to.
Is Sark going to the NFL? Is Sark going to the NFL?
That was more realistic than the other ones, man. Come on, that's great. Yeah. Oh, fantastic. All right, I think that response was enough. I don't even need to let CJ elaborate on that. I think we got the whole picture there. It was great. Aggie _grad_0_percenter. So Texas does what they did against Aggie, right?
Better receivers
against Clemson.
Yeah, better receivers for Clemson. They got good receivers.
Yeah, okay. Okay, a couple of things worry me. I'm not worried, like freaking out. I mean, they're an 11.5-point favorite for a reason. The turnover thing, because they're, like I said, turnover margin, they're top 5. They do force a lot of negative plays too. Defense. They make a lot of havoc plays on defense. Yeah. They're a really boom or bust defense. Yes. You can get big plays on them, but then they can make big plays. And I worry about a run where they're just making a lot of big plays, back to back to back. In the Texas third quarter, which we talked about. That worries me. Unless you got a big lead. And I don't expect Texas to have a big lead again, blow out Clemson first. Maybe they will. But unless they're blowing them out in the first half, the third quarter worries me a little bit going on with Texas. So, and Cade Klubnik could just go off. Like, he just could go in a heater. Anytime you got a good quarterback in a postseason situation, they go in a heater. And same thing with Quinn. If Quinn goes on a heater, we can win a national title potentially.
Yeah.
So those are some things that worries me. But in terms of, doing what they did against Aggie, can they run the ball? If Jerry's right, then they can do the same thing if they just run the ball effectively. They control that game. Will Butler is the secret visitor at transfer quarterback. I don't know.
MJF, good one.
If CDC resigning to become my kids' school's PTA president, I don't know. We don't have enough hats for CJ to be throwing hats all the.
Chris Del Conte's not taking a $3 million a year pay hit.
Oh man, the Michigan State thing was funny when I saw it about Quinn. I was like, oh, okay, really? CJ's reaction when the Secretary of Riverwalk Chili's is closed. we should just gift the CJ reaction. We just get that as a gift for all the on Texas football family. Will Texas kick the tires on Braylon Russell, transfer running back from Arkansas? Here, Juan Garza, thank you for that super chat. That is very relevant. That's a great question because, will Texas look at a running back in the transfer portal number 1? And if so, will Braylon Russell be one of those running backs?
That's an interesting one because I think, again, you see Braylon Russell and you see his skill set, you see his frame, you say, oh, that's something that Texas doesn't have at the running back spot. He's a big bruising back that can get vertical uphill. What is he, about 250 pounds, 255 pounds? He's a big dude, multiple years of eligibility remaining as well. With that said, if you were just receiving about 120, 150 touches as a true freshman at Arkansas, are you going to go to a team that will have 4 or 5 capable backs already in the stable with CJ Baxter returning? We've seen how talented Trey Wisner has been in this season as well. If you're, a Braylon Russell, I'm anticipating going, or at least finding a place where I can become the guy without much resistance. Will that be at Texas? I don't know. Also, if you're Texas, are you willing to pay, the NIL game, one in which, I'm sure that's, you'll have to find that in the running back world. But I think that there's going to be a pretty steep incline for what he's asking, what Texas is willing to pay, considering what's going to be in the room next year.
I want to follow up because we've had a lot of Justice Haynes mentions as well, the running back from the Atlanta area that is transferring from Alabama, which we've heard Ohio State and Michigan. Obviously, Caleb Downs transferred to Ohio State. We'll see what happens with Texas and Haynes. We're not saying anything's going to happen. There is a connection to Shard Choice. Has known that family since the kid was like 6 or 7. When he was at Georgia Tech and just being from the area, and him growing up going to camps, whatnot. That Shard Choice was involved with when he was at Georgia Tech and whatnot. So there's a connection there, but that doesn't mean Texas is going all in. It'll be interesting to see what Texas does at running back, if they seriously push for anyone. First of all, tomorrow is Lee Hunter, the defensive lineman from UCF, the most tackles of any D lineman in the country in the last 2 years. And he's done it in the Big 12. Lee Hunter's a really good player out of 8 Mile, Blunt, which is in the Mobile area, originally signed with Auburn as a top 100 kid in the country. He's coming in tomorrow. Eric Singleton Jr., the speedster. Somebody asked earlier about Crystal Ball, the Ole Miss or whatever. I don't know anything about that, but he's expected to be on campus tomorrow. And it's a hyper-competitive recruitment with Ole Miss and Miami and LSU and Auburn for Singleton, who ran 10.32 for the Georgia Tech track team. Those two next guys up, Max Clare, obviously visited A&M, Oregon's in play, potentially Louisville, the tight end from Purdue. So we'll see where the other pushes come from. But getting Cole Brevard in the fold was big on the zero tech, over the ball player rod. And then Lee Hunter would be one hell of a 3-tech to pair with Alex January and let those freshman kids mix in. I actually have some news. I should have said this earlier. There may be 3 or 4 Texas players work out with the Horns while they're in the playoffs. I talked to Lance Jackson earlier. He was on his way to Austin to do his physicals tomorrow and may get to practice with the team. And there's some chatter that Myron Charles may do the same thing and a couple others. I'm trying to run that down, but Lance Jackson is in Austin right now going through the physicals. And if everything checks out, he will get to practice with the team while they're in the playoffs.
Ooh, nice. Good stuff, dear.
And they want the D lineman. They would love for Charmaine Charles to do the same.
You get some early reps.
Few early reps before spring practice.
I like it.
Is cool. That is awesome. All right, before we're gonna do kind of some quick hitter questions to end our live stream, but I want to talk about the college football playoff lines that have come out, guys. About the matchups this weekend. We talked a ton about Texas and Clemson, and we'll continue to do that. Thank you, Matthew. Appreciate that. SMU, though, there you go. Indiana versus Notre Dame at Notre Dame. You see right there, Notre Dame favored by 7.5. CJ, you're more of our betting man. What? No, you don't like that?
That 26-degree weather, Rod? No, sir. No, sir, I do not.
And 26 in South Bend and Notre Dame is coming with wind too, so it's probably wind chill like 15. Now they're used to it, but
yeah.
That's cool.
How does but CJ, you've been I'll give CJ a lot of credit because I don't think it's like week 2 or something like that. CJ was like, man, Indiana, don't you watch out for Indiana? Like I don't remember any. Yeah, he was early on that bandwagon.
They Googled before the season.
CJ did Google. So, CJ, what are your thoughts? Because you were on the bandwagon. You got a really comfortable seat on that Indiana bandwagon. but what chance do you give them to cover that one versus Notre Dame?
Look, it's an interesting one for Indiana. I think, again, it's going to come up to the trenches, right? Indiana, for whatever it's worth, their schedule has been the big point of contempt in their path to the college football playoff. You got worked by Ohio State, but you beat Michigan, and Michigan is far and away superior in talent in the trenches. Now, the issue for Indiana against Michigan is, I believe you were shut out in the second half. Yes. You didn't score a point, and that game completely flipped on its head when Michigan started to run the football, own the time of possession, ground and pound in the way that they basically, 4 yards every single play offensively, just take care of the time. And that really wore down Indiana. And look, I think Indiana has a lot of really talented defensive linemen, front seven guys, right? CJ West, all Big 12 kind of guy. Kamara off the edge, really talented guy. You look at, D'Angelo Pons, the safety that transferred over from James Madison, really talented guy. But if those guys can't keep up with this Notre Dame offensive line, that's the question. If you can't throw the ball with Curtis Rourke, who, in my eyes, Jerry, he might be the best back shoulder thrower in the entire country.
He's got the highest quarterback QBR in the playoffs.
He is. If you've not seen Curtis Rourke, I kind of feel bad this year because, look, I don't think 26 degrees optimal. It's not optimal throwing weather for a quarterback. I know they're from Indiana. They're going to be practicing in the cold all week, but it's kind of unfortunate that that's the weather that you get to see Indiana on a big stage once again. But I do think Indiana can keep this close if they get the passing game going. Obviously, that starts with Curtis Rourke and the offensive line there. But I'll toss this to y'all because I think this is a really interesting question. We've gone through the lines, right? 7.5 point underdog for Indiana. Texas, 11.5 point favorite. You go down the list, I believe Penn State's 8.5 point favorite as well.
Big lines.
Hypothetically, and this isn't gambling advice or anything like that, but I'm assuming most of these underdogs are going to be plus 250, plus 300, something like that. If you had to pick one of these teams to go out there and get the road victory round one of the college football playoff, who are you taking there? Tennessee. Is that
anybody trust Ryan Day? Raise your hand. I see no hands. Tennessee.
It's that easy.
That's good.
SMU's going north to play in Happy Valley. Good luck. It's going to be like 15 wind chill for that game.
Anybody raising hands for James Franklin, Jerry?
No, I like James Franklin. I think they're going to overwhelm SMU up front. I think Penn State's got really good players.
I know. You saying don't trust Ryan Day, but equally you cannot trust James Franklin in a big game. We know this.
If it was in Dallas, I'd be thinking differently. But, man, SMU traveling up the Happy Valley, man, that's a tough one. I think Penn State's athleticism from the ends is going to negate Kevin Jennings quite a bit.
Okay, man, it's a good point. I don't know. I don't trust James Franklin in big games. I trust Ryan Day in big games versus anybody except Michigan.
That's true. That's a good point.
Playing Michigan, he's all right. So I'll take it. I don't trust James Franklin in big games. I'm sorry, and I won't. So I would probably go with the SMU one, honestly, just because of James Franklin. Go look at James Franklin in big games at home. He's even worse. He can't even win at home in big games.
It's funny, Penn State, for whatever the reason, whether it be scheduling, TV networks, whatnot, they just can't buy a home night game. They can't do it. Their biggest games of the year can't get a night game.
Yeah.
The concern I would have if I'm SMU in this game is, and I think SMU's pretty good on defenses, and maybe Oregon's just bad on defense and it's going to come out in the playoffs, but Penn State had 520 yards and scored 37 because Franklin didn't kick a PAT. They're chasing points before the game starts in their mind. But 37 points and 518 yards against Oregon.
A lot of yours.
Against a talented team.
That's true. That's a good point.
If Drew Allar plays, Drew Allar grew up playing in cold weather high school football games, by the way.
That matters, man. It matters.
This is right up his 10.5-inch hand alley.
Yeah. It matters less in the league. It matters, I think, more in college. This is the first time we've dealt with this, right, in college where the playoff, now you got to consider the weather as a variable in playoff matchups. So you're probably right about that SMU thing. I just James Franklin in big games. I just can't do it. Trust
Matthew, can you scroll up and down one more time? You see 27 degrees there. You see 56 in Austin, 26 again. I mean,
24 in Columbus.
God, this is Hey. If you're at a playoff game and every game's below freezing, I mean, you got to be pleased if you're Texas that you're at least in Austin, right? The bye would have been preferable. You're in Austin, 56, 60-degree weather, whatever it might be during 3 p.m. this Saturday, and then you're in domes the rest of the way. For Texas, I think that's huge.
Yeah, but I will say it is a home field advantage, I guess, if you're like at Ohio State in that situation, not necessarily for Notre Dame because Indiana's used to that kind of weather too.
Penn State, to your point, yes.
Yeah, Penn State. So to those two teams, it is an advantage. For Texas, I don't know if you don't really get an advantage home field wise because of the weather, but I don't know if you need one. You got the biggest line is Texas favored by 11.5. So,
hey, but we got to say this though: Tennessee, Ohio State has the most intrigue of any game because. No matter what Ross Bjork says, Ryan Day's coaching for his job. How we start the playoffs with somebody in a really, really hot seat and really cold weather. Look, if Tennessee rolls up there and beats that butt in the shoe, I don't care what Bjork said a couple of weeks ago.
The question is, who do you hire? I'm with you, Jerry. I do think they are considerate, but then I don't know if they know who to hire. I don't know if they know who to bring in. It's a great idea if you know who to bring in next. And think about it, you got to bring in somebody who's guaranteed to beat Michigan, or all y'all fired. Y'all gone. If y'all can't bring in somebody else who also can't beat Michigan, then I'm gonna get rid of all y'all because all y'all the problem. So then you got to think about that because your job is now on the line. Right now, you can blame it all on Ryan Day. He can't get it done. He's the wrong guy for the job. But as soon as he leaves, and then you bring in somebody else, and they also can't beat Michigan, then all y'all's the problem.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it. So you better make sure you bring in the right one next time. And who is that? Who is that, Jerry? Who is it?
It's a good question. I mean, is it Matt Campbell?
Is it Matt Campbell? Who's the Indiana coach? Google him. Maybe it's him. He's like, hey, Google me.
Hey, would Marcus Freeman go home?
Oh, that's good. That's sexy.
That's when you start talking about the pecking order and the food chain of college football jobs.
Because of NIL, Marcus Freeman would take Ohio State.
That's sexy, Jerry. That's how you do it. You got to go poach. You got to go poach another big time coach. Yeah. If you're Ohio State, you can't go with someone unproven. Go poach a big time coach.
And Marcus Freeman, was a star player at Ohio State. It's like, he's not turning down that job as much as he loves Notre Dame and appreciates it.
Ohio State's the only other it's like Ohio State, Michigan. It's not like 5 programs that are winning the arms race of NIL, and Ohio State's one of them. You can't pass up that job.
By the way, in the chat, do I trust Nico? No, I do not either. I just think he's an inaccurate guy. And I don't know if inaccurate quarterbacks ever really, those leopards change their spots. They can improve. I'm not sure he's a naturally accurate quarterback. Talented. That's my question.
Some people are saying Vrabel. That's not bad. Vrabel's got to pick the right offense, though.
Yeah,
I'm a little afraid of who Vrabel would pick as his offensive coordinator. He's got to pick the right offensive guy, but I like Vrabel.
Hey, Marcus Freeman already proved for a defensive coach, he's smart there. He brought in Denbrock this year, and it changed things for Notre Dame.
That's the biggest question for defensive coaches who will be head coaches. Like, all right, how do you see offense? And can you choose a really good offensive counterpart for what you want to do? Yeah. All right, a couple of questions here before we end the live stream because we're getting close to the end, guys. So thank you guys for rocking with us for so long. Connor Vaughn wants to know how short is Quinn's leash from here on out. I think it's pretty long.
Yeah,
I think got a long leash. I mean, honestly, unless he has a meltdown where he's basically has 3-4 interceptions and a half, Quinn's the quarterback, guys. Now all we can hope is that the arch package is expanded. I know it sounds weird, but the arch set of plays continues to increase. Right? That's what you got to hope. But at this point, it's Quinn's team, guys. You can win the national title with Quinn. You can. Right?
Yep. I agree. Again, just coming down, converting in the red zone. If you do that, Texas does that once against Texas A&M. They find a touchdown early against Georgia. None of this is a conversation. The issue is that's where we're at right now.
Yeah,
I don't know if that had life, Matthew, and beyond the winning drive. But here
I realized when I said it as the words were coming out of my mouth, like, yeah, this is not good. Okay, a couple of more. Todd says, I believe Texas should come after Club Mix-a-Lot Saturday. PK cannot sit back and let him nickel and dime you to death. I would bring more blitzes than any game all season. Thoughts? I believe his highest blitz rates. He had a high blitz rate in the Oklahoma game, the second half of the Kentucky game. Texas does not have high blitz rates, so that's not how they operate. They don't blitz a lot. They don't really have to. They create a lot of organic pressure.
Well, that's the thing I was going to say is that's twofold question and answer. Texas is up to 39 sacks this year. That was kind of my number, 39-40. You're getting into the range you need to be. And Texas is doing it with a low blitz percentage, guys. That is really good for your ability to get pressure with 4 or 5. That means you're amongst the best pass rushing teams in college football, is what that means. Because if you got 39 or 40 sacks, then what are your pressures? I mean, so the sack number is the first one, but if you get to that sack number, you have a lot of pressures. You're really affecting quarterbacks in the pocket. If PK and Nansen have to reconsider their plan that's worked all year and start bringing numbers, that probably means things aren't going well for Texas. Yeah, that's not a good thing.
This is also, to your point, Jerry, about Texas being able to stay home with 7 in the back on passing downs. The only matchup in the country between two teams with the most, or that are in the top 10 of the most 20 plays yards from scrimmage in all of offense this year. Texas number 2 in the country with 89. Clemson number 10 was 71. So 2 offenses that can pick up chunk plays pretty significantly.
Good stuff there, CJ.
All right. Can we get address Kelvin Banks, Isaiah Bond real quick, CJ, because a lot of people have been asking in the chat.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. He Kelvin Banks has been working to get back to practice. He was, on the field working a little bit on Friday as well. Isaiah Bond very much the same at a little slower pace. Of course, he left Mercedes-Benz Stadium in a boot with a crutch. So he was significantly banged up after getting rolled up on against Georgia in the SEC championship game. He will look like what Quinn and Kelvin looked like last week and the week before this week. And what that means is slow build up, right? Get on the field Monday, see how it works. Tuesday, ramp up a little bit. Wednesday, that'll be really one of the big days to see if he will be able to go fully. But Texas would like to have him on the field, obviously. And if not as an impact player, as somebody that they can use as a decoy, someone they can throw out there and say, hey, this guy's pretty fast. At least take note of him. But right now, tomorrow will be really interesting to see how active they will be on the field. Also, Texas not practicing in their normal schedule. They're practicing later in the day to prepare for that 3 p.m. kick. With no school, they're able to do that without having to run into conflicts with scheduling and timing with classes.
Good stuff there, CJ. All right, before we end our live stream tonight, let's thank our friends at Duck Camp one more time. Duck Camp, they are the official sponsor this week for all of our live streams during our college football playoff game week here. So Duck Camp, we want to tell you how much we appreciate them for being a sponsor here of On Texas Football. They produce premium outdoor goods for the outdoor spirit in all of us. Duck Camp is dedicated to providing the best outdoor goods so you can outdoor good, whether you're an avid hunter or you prefer fishing, or you like me, you like the camaraderie of the campsite or the campfire. Duck Camp is a brand that understands the culture of outdoor living and the good times and good friends that come along with living an outdoor lifestyle. Check out their new fall selection at duckcamp.com. And thank you very much to Duck Camp for being our official sponsor of all of our shows this week during our college football playoff previews. All right. Thank you to Matthew behind the scenes doing a great job as always. Thank you to our good friends at Rogue Shop, rogueshop.com. We appreciate them, and we appreciate our friends at duckcamp.com. Jerry, thanks for all the knowledge and the tidbits. CJ, thank you for all the research and the nuggets. We appreciate you as well. And thank you guys for all the super chats. Really appreciate all of you for being so gracious and kind. Sorry we couldn't get to all the questions, but don't worry, because tomorrow, starting at 8 a.m., you have Coffee and Football. You can direct all your questions to those guys as well. And then Monday, we'll also have the winning drive starting up at 3:15 with myself, CJ Vogel, and Coach Bob Shipley as well. Thank you to Jackson Jeffcoat. That was great. That was fantastic. I liked how we just kind of threw the interview randomly in there, and the people were surprised by it. And so thank you to Jerry for arranging that, and thank you to Jackson Jeffcoat for coming on and being so entertaining and so forthcoming. Really appreciate that as well. All right, guys, until next time, same channel, hook 'em horns.